Hey everyone, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime review. Today we are looking at episode 3 of Tales of Zestiria the X. Now, as a fan of the game and someone who beat the game and all that, I know a lot of the lore and I know a lot of the concepts. And for you guys and girls who are watching the anime, of course, and you're only watching the anime, you don't really know per se what is the main enemies and all that. A lot of that is shown at least in this episode. So this episode is very important. A lot of the characters are shown, a lot of big name characters actually shown. And if you actually do play the games, you know a few of them that should not be here yet, but are shown anyways because it's kind of cool because the homages to them. And they go a little bit further, which I like with some of the characters that they do with the actual game, which is I think it was really nice and a good idea. Anyways, overall, very solid episode. But let's talk what happened. So we have Sorey and Mikleo finally making it to the actual town, and they are greeted by one very important character. Her name is Rose, and she is a sparrow feather and something else, but I'm not going to say that because that's a spoiler. But the Sparrow Feathers are a group of traveling merchants who go from town to town, and Sorey, being a nobody, cannot get actually into the town because the festival is going on. Luckily, Rose, who has her connections because she's a merchant, is able to show, oh yeah, he's actually part of our group, he's just helping us right now, and allows him free passes into it. And, even though she asks him for money, which he does not have, because that's one of the big differences from the game. There's actually a kind of thing that happens where even though he doesn't have money, he does something else for her. I'm not going to go into detail with that, but it's not important either. But it would go a little further in, I think, fleshing out those two characters for the scene that was supposed to be over here. She's like, oh, don't worry about it, you'll owe me later. I feel like this is kind of fate for us to meet together and all that. And from there, we see the town is really in an uproar. This place is all happy and go lucky. But do you actually see? And that's one thing I like about the HD of actual Tales in general. Do you see that kind of weird, kind of glowy floatiness that's like, it looks almost kind of like the mist? Well, that's Melevance, and Melevance is actually a big factor in the show, and Mikleo will talk about it nonstop in the very beginning of this episode where he feels weakened by it because Seraphim in general are weakened by this force. So it's interesting to see how this force is going to get worse and worse as time progresses. Trust me, you're going to be very curious about that. Anyways, we do see a familiar face that, Sorey and Mikleo were looking for. It's the creepy assassin guy, and after chase, Sorey goes, "Why are you chasing after Princess Alicia? What do you want from her?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm not really actually gonna try to go after her." He goes, "I just want to be there because I feel like she's gonna lead me to something great." And lo and behold, he's not incorrect about that. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I want to say a head of the state that works alongside Princess Alicia is actually planning her downfall and hires a bunch of assassins known as the Scattered Bones, if I'm saying their name correctly. And the Scattered Bones are hired to hit and assassinate anyone that they feel is a deterrent to the growth of humanity. So if they feel like they're going to cause a lot of chaos or if they're going to get a lot of people killed, they will go after those people. And after he makes a suggestion saying, listen, she's a bad leader, she's easily influenced, she doesn't really have the gall to do certain things, they accept his proposal to kill Princess Alicia. Now, meanwhile, the actual trial for the sword of the shepherd is getting held on, and we actually see Seraphim right in front of the sword. That's actually the Lady of the Lake. Her name is Alicia. Now, Alicia over here, or is it Alicia? Alicia? No, I'm sorry, it's Lorelei. I want to say I'm sorry about that. I got her mixed up with the other one. Hey, listen, I make mistakes myself. But Layla, that's her name. Just remembered it. Thank God. I'm not an idiot. Layla over here is actually the seraphim that's attached to the sword and also attached to the area around this city they're in right now, and she senses a lot of malevolence from everyone in the audience, from all the people in general of the town. It's getting worse and worse to the point that at one point, after Princess Alicia comes on stage, talks a lot about how to apparently, in her words, how to actually become friends with people that start wars with them, which I have to say is not probably the best speech in the world. The malevolence gets worse and worse to the point that it actually creates a monster, and this is the first time we see one of the monsters mated by them. These are beasts that can only be destroyed by the shepherd, actually, and ironically right now there's no one that is a shepherd. Sorey, who's actually been in the background watching with Mikleo, Mikleo's starting to get really sick because of the fog around everywhere and shit. And Sorey comes down and goes and tries to save Alicia from all this stuff. He goes to actually see that, oh wait, can't you stop this? Lorelai, you're the one who's running this whole thing. Why can't you stop this? She's unable to, though. That's the bottom line to it. Now, luckily, at the same time, it's really not luckily. I'm just being sarcastic about this. Alicia now has to deal with one of the scattered bones, trying to attack her. And, luckily, Alicia's a capable fighter. She's able to fend him off. But Sorey now has a choice. He actually thinks that he can pull the sword from the thing. And, she goes, well, listen, if you pull that sword, I become part of you, and you end up becoming the shepherd. But the shepherd is a very lonely and dangerous adventure. And she goes, why would you want to be the shepherd? And he goes, I want to travel the world. I want to see other things. He goes, because he wants to see what the past has, and the past he feels can actually maybe somehow save the current future state of everyone being, separated, per se, the seraphim not really caring for humans anymore, and vice versa. He thinks that maybe somewhere in the past lies a key to fixing that dilemma. And of course, Sorey, destined to be the shepherd, I mean, come on, that's obvious, is able to pull it out, harness the power of the seraphim, of the shepherd and the seraphim both together, and is able to fight the dragon and defeat it. Overall, very fast fight with these two. Like, I mean, honestly, this is super fast, but that was how it was in the game, so I wasn't really, per se, surprised by it. I love the animations for this, but I really wasn't a huge fan of the dragon. I think the dragon, it was really CGI. I think a lot of people noticed that. And honestly, it was not that good as CGI. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, Ufotable has done CGI past that I always kind of question, especially in Fate Zero. There was some questionable CGI here and there, but it wasn't like this. And honestly, probably the weakest part of this whole show was that dragon. But still cool stuff. I mean, it's overall a great, solid episode. And finally, we got some big elements of the story out of the way. So luckily, this is episode 3. That means that a lot of the stuff that they can do now is up to how they want to make the game flow. Do they want the game to flow in a sense of going really fast? Or do they want the game to kind of slow down and more so flesh out the story? I'm actually curious if there are going to be 2 seasons of this. I'm not sure if there's only going to be 2 or, 1 season or 2. It's, because you have to remember, guys and girls, that the game was about 40 hours to complete, maybe 50 hours if you were going through all the side quests, or maybe even 70 if you're going through every single side quest. That could mean that there's 2 seasons if they're going to start focusing on a lot of the development, because even if you don't do the side quest, you're looking at maybe a 30 to 40 hour game. So I'm curious how they're going to do this. I really am. I think they're going to skip over a lot of stuff, which is okay, because there's a lot of filler stuff in the game itself. Like, you don't need every single little place that they go to, every detail. But I'm very curious how it is. And I'm curious how you guys are thinking of Tales of Zestiria in the comments below. Tell me how you think about it. Anyways, I will talk to you later, because I got to go watch ReZero and review that. So have a great day, everyone. I will, do the whole 9. That's what I always used to say, right? I'll talk to you later, folks. Bye-bye.